Hello, Tiger fans. Thanks for joining us for a new week of Tiger Time out here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you as we get set to take a look around Tiger and Lady Tiger basketball for Campbellsville University. Mid-South Conference schedules are in full swing coming up. Finally, the Lady Tigers get to play a home game in the Powell Athletic Center. They've not done that yet this year as Ginger High Colvin joins us. Coach, here finally you get to your home portion of the schedule in the Powell, and you got the Thanksgiving holiday to kind of get ready for that. I hope for many of you that was a good time. I know there are some Lady Tigers that are going through some things, but you know, that's life, and we certainly wish them normal to be on the horizon very soon.
We did. We played Lindsay on that Tuesday night. We played our travel partner, and then Courtney Pritchett's lost her uncle on that Tuesday night. So she and her family have been dealing with a lot over Thanksgiving. It's an uncle that lived right next door, and as you know, these small communities and these families all are very supportive, and it's just something that it's Courtney's mom's brother, and so they're really going through a lot right now. We just want to lift her up and say a prayer for Courtney and her family as they go through the services and everything this week.
Yeah, I certainly wish them well as you know, they look for closure and different things. Never an easy time, but you know, around the holiday you get some time off for the Lady Tigers, and it's got to be a little weird for you right here, right? Only 5 games and different things, and it may be a portion of the schedule where maybe you wish you were still playing, but you do get a little time there around the holiday. I know that's good for the girls and maybe a chance to recharge a bit.
It is, and we always, or not always, but we're usually playing right after Thanksgiving, and we didn't this year. And kids were able to go home, be with their families. I was able to go home and be with my family, which is something I love to do. And they did miss out. We did come back and were able to practice quite a bit. And for kids like Sarah Sutton, who's been out of that loop, we were able to condition more and practice more and get her more reps. And with Courtney, Courtney's been driving back and forth. She's exhausted. So it was a blessing, really, that we didn't have games and we were able to work on a few things and prepare and, again, just spend time with our families.
And you spent a portion of the holiday diversifying the resume. You were keeping book. You and Miranda Denny were keeping book for Brent Vernon's games, shorthanded around the holiday, looking for anybody. Now, Miranda told me that her book was better. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
Nope, that is not true. She didn't keep the running tally at the top. She didn't keep fouls, and she didn't keep possessions. So if she's going to tell you that, the only thing better is her handwriting. And she may be a numbers person, but I got her on the book.
I asked her, I said, how many times do you have to bust out the eraser in the first half? She said twice, but that was really because I didn't like my handwriting. My twos were looking funny. So she said you had to change the twos. It's first world problems, no doubt. Coach, let's look at the standings of the conference. We're getting ready to get into a portion of, you know, a meaty conference portion of the schedule. So if we take a look at some of the standings here, you've got a couple of undefeated teams up at the top. Freed Hardman is one of those. You'll welcome them in this week, and then Thomas More, also undefeated. You guys have played just the 5 games. They've already played 8 games each, and then you get into some of these teams in the middle, and that's going to be fun to watch throughout the year when you start to look at Cumberland's and Georgetown and Pikeville, and even teams down at the bottom still looking for wins. Lindsey Wilson 0-4. That's not going to remain throughout the year. This league's tough.
It's not, and it's hard for our conference. We actually had our ratings call yesterday, and for our conference, 4 through 8 or 4 through 9, you take a look at University of Cumberland's. They've already had to play Georgetown and Thomas More. So, yeah, they're going to be 1 and 2 in the league, but they're 1 and 2 in the league where they're playing the 18th ranked team and the number 1 ranked team. So if you flip that another week when somebody else is going to play Thomas More. So our league is, and I try to sell that to the fact that you take a Cumberland U who is right now at 6th, 7th, 8th in our league, and they could potentially go and win a lot of the other leagues that I'm on the phone with. And it's hard to say, listen, I've got a team that's at the bottom or at the lower half of our league that could go win your league. And it speaks a lot for us, and it'll just keep interchanging. And it would be, if there were just 3 or 4 of us, I think they would all be bumped up higher, but we have to kind of keep them in a block at that bottom of the top 25 because it will interchange so much.
And you take Thomas More gets wins over Southeastern and I think Lancaster this weekend. Georgetown actually dropped one to Southeastern, who struggled. They've been a power the last few years. They've struggled this year. But, the Georgetown club was kind of eat up with illness and different things. So that factors in as well.
It does. I think they played Asbury, who played extremely well on the first night of that classic, and then they turned around and played Southeastern, who you said has struggled, still has a very good ball club, and Georgetown's pretty sick. He was throwing kids in and out and just trying to give them moments to rest, but you could tell they didn't have the energy that they normally play with, and he didn't make excuses about it because he does have depth, but when you have that many kids sick, and there's sickness going around a lot right now with everyone, and they took that loss, but I feel like, maybe if it were with a healthy Georgetown bunch, it would have been maybe a little bit different.
The Lady Tigers back in action this coming week as they'll be at the Powell Athletic Center Thursday and Saturday. They'll welcome a couple of old friends from the western part of the state of Tennessee. We'll step away, come back, and look at the matchups with Freed Hardeman and Bethel. Stay with us here on Tiger Timeout.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go. Never gonna let you go.
We continue here on Tiger Timeout. Matt Payton with you as Campbellsville University's in the Powell Athletic Center for their Mid-South Conference home openers this weekend, Thursday night, 5:30 for the Lady Tigers. So make sure you're aware of that new start time. The schedule shifts up there Saturday, 1 p.m. The start is they'll battle Bethel. And Coach, as you get set for Freed Hardeman, I don't know if we've really got into the start time and the change for Mid-South Conference play much, but your thoughts on that sliding up Thursday 30 minutes, Saturday they moved it up an hour.
I'm great with the Saturday. With the Thursday, we're so close to that central time zone. You've got a lot of families that are trying to get to a 4:30 game now, and it's hard for them when they're getting off work and trying to get up through here. So I understand the fact that you're trying to get teams that are on the road home, and that is nice. But the Thursday night's tough on those central time zone people. I love the Saturday. Again, if you're playing a little bit earlier and you're on the road, you get home earlier. If you're home, it'll give your kids a chance to go home. So I'm good with all that.
And the schedule for our schedule, guys and gals both, you look and there's a lot of Saturday home games, which is great.
Right.
But you're also without students a lot on Saturdays
No
if they're going to go
Thursday home
home.
games,
So
right.
you want those Thursday home games where you're then traveling on Saturday. Instead, you're traveling on Thursdays, no students. It's kind of like a little more consistency there. And that was the problem, I think, splitting up a lot of those weekends instead of just going to Wilberforce and Thomas More all in one weekend. You break them up, and now there's not that same symmetry.
Yeah. And there are students on Thursday, just not ours. We're going to everybody's place on their Thursday, so we'll be in front of their students. And I'm not real sure why. I'm sure there was a good rationale with it, but if you have a travel partner, use that travel partner. Go to Wilberforce, go to Thomas More and stay, and then come back home and do the same again. I'm not sure, again, like I say, why they did that, but not a fan of it, and it's not worked out great for us.
My pitchfork will be out as protest will ensue following this season. But let's talk about Freed Hardeman and Bethel this weekend, Coach. You get two of the best young scorers in the league in Rachel Satterley at Freed Hardeman. You'll see her Thursday, and then I believe it's Megan Hart at Bethel. So two freshmen, two young ladies that are carrying a lot of the load offensively for their teams. We'll start with Freed Hardeman on Thursday night. It's a team you got 3 times last year, a big change in the roster and the dynamic for Coach Epperson, but they're really good 8-0 to start the year.
They are, and Rachel Satterley is a redshirt freshman, comes from a great program here close to us, Anderson County. And she took that year as it would be great if every freshman could come in and take that year and just grow and watch. And you can tell that it's really benefited her to come in. And she's just a tough-nosed kid that shoots the ball extremely well, gets to the rim, has a good floater. She's got the total package in her scoring game. And they're really using her and utilizing what she has. And like you said, they've got a ton of new pieces. So they've got a lot of new kids that we're just trying to figure out and watch during film. But they move the ball well. They play extremely, extremely hard. And we've got our hands full when they come in here Thursday.
Yeah, Coach and I spoke earlier this week looking at the box score from the Mid-South Conference matchup last year to end the season. Just one player, KJ White, is going to be available for Coach Epperson or figures to play that played in that game. So kind of a unique circumstance. And another one for them, a unique circumstance. This is their first road game. They've had 3 Mid-South Conference home games. They're 5 games, non-conference. None of them a true road game. So this will be their first road test and
their first road game. So probably nerves both ways, and but it's. I'm glad we're home. I'm glad we're not
always
on the road.
Always better to be home. And then walk me through that Saturday matchup with Bethel a little bit. You and Chris Nelson, of course, really good friends. And it's funny, this Freed Hardeman and Bethel. I can't think about these two teams, even though they're both in the Mid-South now, without thinking about the national tournament games with some of them. It's still just overrides, the Mid-South Conference aspect now. There was a time when they weren't Mid-South Conference teams, and some of the most famous victories in program history have come against them, so it's a bit unique. But you and Coach Nelson go way back, and he's also trying to blend in a lot of new pieces as well.
We do. Chris and his wife Jen are great friends of mine, and they're a basketball family. She's his assistant coach as well, and he just does a great job with them. He's a basketball mind. He's a play guru. He and Hootie have it out every year to see if she can get her scout and if she can get his play calls. And it's a running joke between the two of them actually. And but he's got a lot of talent. He's got kids in there, and like you say, one of the best freshmen in the league. She's already been fresh player of the week maybe a couple times. Strong, gritty kid. He loves his point guard. He brought a shooter in that transferred from Murray State. Obviously, he has the Morrow kid back. And I think he has the best rebounder in the league. She's just if the ball's up in the air, she goes and gets it. And he's got good post play, good size in the post. So he has all the pieces. They've just not put them together yet. I hope he doesn't put them together Saturday, but I do feel like as the year progresses, he's going to figure out what works for this team, and they're going to be a contender at the end. And
we were talking, we went through the conference standings. They'll get Lindsey Wilson on Thursday night, and we talked about it off camera a little bit. Those will be two teams really desperate for a win Thursday.
They are, and obviously he and John are both good friends of mine, and you can't cheer for anybody, but I feel for both because you just when you're desperate for those wins, and I've been there, and you're just scratching and clawing and trying to get that and just get over that hump, because when you get to that point, it's just a hump that you have to get over, and they're both struggling to get there. Both have good teams, and I feel like it'll be a showdown on Thursday.
Coach, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
The Lady Tigers in action in the Powell Center Thursday. They'll start things at 5:30 Eastern. Our coverage begins at 5:15. Of course, the Tigers will then follow. And speaking of the Tigers, we'll step away here, come back, and talk with the head coach, Brent Vernon, here on Tiger Timeout.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
It took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Tiger Timeout continues here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you now as we transition from women's basketball over to the men's side of things. Campbellsville's Tigers in action this past weekend over the Thanksgiving holiday. They pick up a couple of wins as Coach Brent Vernon joins me now. Coach, a little more non-conference play, the end of your non-conference schedule. You get Virginia Lynchburg on Friday and Saturday, University of Health Sciences and Pharmacy in St. Louis. A couple of wins in the Lou Cunningham Classic. I know the Lou's always fun. It's a great time around the holiday to play a little basketball, get out on the court, and 2 wins makes it much sweeter.
It does. And, we had a good Thanksgiving family, and the guys, everybody, most of the guys got to go home. The others came and ate with us. And unfortunately, some sicknesses, so we had a few hold up during that time. But came in this after Thanksgiving, had a good practice that night, and took care of business this weekend. So it was a good weekend for us.
Coming off that tough start to your Mid-South Conference League play, 3 straight road games, never easy in this league, working on trying to get better and do some things the way that you want. And any changes you make, you get some opponents like Lynchburg and Health Sciences, Health Pharmacy, all that stuff. I mean, it's a mouthful. Getting to those teams and to see some of that go into application, get better. Yeah. You could see it, from my vantage point on Friday and Saturday, you guys made improvements. Those were big wins for you.
They were, and again, every game is an opportunity to get better, and I thought our guys did a good job. You look at Lynchburg, and I know we ended up beating them pretty good. They've played a brutal schedule. All road games, all games that were guarantee games, NCAA Division I, some of the best NAI teams in America. They've just been traveling like crazy. So they're a little defeated right now. They have some good pieces, though. If you look at Saturday, they really fought Lindsay hard. So I thought our guys did a very nice job. We set the tone early and we stayed with it. And one thing we wanted to do, because of 5 games in that 9-10 day period, we wanted to be able to get a lead to where we could get some other guys some opportunities. We needed guys to get that opportunity, and we did that. And I just thought it was really good by our guys. It showed a lot of maturity both Friday and Saturday of going in and taking care of business the way we were supposed to, defended really well. And again, like I said, those 2 wins and improving to lead into the rest of the year of Mid-South Conference play was big for us.
And, scoring, hitting some shots. I don't think you're a bad shooting team, but it's not been your strength to this point. And it may not be, but to see the ball go in the net like that, sometimes that confidence can be all you need to spark. Jordan Graham finally got some to go down over the last week or so. Some other Keyston Brown, some other guys getting in on the act. That can go a long way throughout the season as well.
It does, and you should always shoot better at home because that's where you're practicing every day. And again, you start out struggling shooting and not getting some of the results you want, and you start second guessing a little bit, and then you see 1 or 2 go through, and you could see the confidence gaining with our group the whole weekend. I think both games we were 40% or better, almost 50%. From 3, and you look at our percentage going into it, it's about 22%. We jumped up almost now 30% after 2 really good shooting games. And again, if we can get where we're making shots, it's going to make the game easier on guys like Malik and Chandler and Jay in the post, and that's something we need because those guys need post catches.
And so we take a look at the box score from that matchup on Saturday as Campbellsville got the win over the Eutectics, the visiting Eutectics out of St. Louis. Keyston Brown, Jay Milburn, Cam Willis all in double figures. You had several guys in double figures, Coach, and I know you talked about kind of getting a little further down and getting some other guys reps, and it wasn't, it's not that you don't want to do that, but illness and different things. I mean, you're without Brandon Jackson. Malik Muhammad felt really bad on Friday, or at least not well.
Right.
You kind of limited him after he tried to start and give you some minutes, hold him out and different things. To get those guys to step up when given the opportunity, Zach Travis made some nice plays over the weekend. Guys that we haven't seen a ton of able to make an impact.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that they need live game reps, but you're talking basketball, we've got 14 guys, and you only play 5 at a time, and it's really hard whenever you're getting a rotation to go past 8 and 9. But we've got good depth, and we've talked about that all year. And guys like Zach Travis, Cam Willis, and those guys, it's not that they're not good enough. I want to say it's just we've got very good players. So it was good to be able to get them out there and get some reps because a guy like C-Dub who can really shoot the ball. Zach is very. He's a fierce competitor, really defends well. It's still as a freshman trying to figure some things out, but getting game reps is crucial. And I think you saw him make strides this weekend. So, again, very happy. being sick was a little worried. You know, it's gone through our whole team, and the best part is we had other guys step up, and it was what we needed.
One thing on that Friday, Saturday, and you've done this a few times this year, so it's your third back-to-back. Saturday, not starting slow, not being flat. Friday, you had a pretty good crowd. I felt like there were some students, a lot of students in there on Friday evening. And then Saturday, not quite the crowd. You got the big win on Friday evening, so you're worried about that start. You guys come out like gangbusters.
Yeah, and we both Saturdays and the two classics previous, we really have started out slow. So that was a big point of emphasis. And you know, you look at UHSP, they've really, I know they haven't won, but man, they've played some guys very close and done some good things. And my biggest thing was how well are we going to defend and rebound? If we do that, we'll carry over to the offense. And I think we started out basically up 20-1 or something like that, and we got stop after stop. And our attention to detail was good. We were really blocking out and making a conscious effort of doing those things. So again, just very pleased with how we went from Friday, hadn't talked about UHSP, into Saturday, and really took the game plan and did exactly what we wanted to do with it.
Yeah, well, one quirky number from that game, Health Sciences and Pharmacy did not have a 2-point field goal in the first half. Yeah. They had 5 made field goals in the first half. They were all from deep. They did not make a 2-point field goal. That's kind of hard to do, but it certainly pays off when you can hold them to just 5 makes in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it is. And again, it goes back to their best at the rim, so we were making a concerted effort to stop our gaps there and fly by on the 3. And again, it just worked to perfection, and our guys were very locked in.
Tigers pick up 2 wins in the Lou Cunningham Classic. They now turn their attention to upcoming matchups this weekend. Thursday night in the Powell Athletic Center with Freed-Hardeman. Saturday, Bethel comes to town. We'll step away, come back, and talk to the head coach about those ball games. Stay with us here on Tiger Timeout. Our closeout segment here on Tiger Timeout this week as we take a look at Tiger basketball, their upcoming matchups. Matt Payton with you, visiting with Brent Vernon here. Coach, Freed-Hardeman, Bethel come in, and we had talked about this a little bit off camera over the weekend, but just getting finished with conference play and getting into Mid-South Conference play all together. Now you kind of understand the dynamic, you understand the importance. Sometimes it can be difficult to get into non-conference play or get into conference play, right back into non-conference play. There's a little bit of a dip. It's just natural. It's one of those things. Now it's good to put that behind you, and the rest of the way you're into Mid-South Conference action. It
is, and sometimes you wish you may have a couple more of those games just because the league is so good. But no, now it's every game, and you know there's no easy ones, so we got to be ready. And you know, started out with 3 on the road. We were, you know, in my mindset, you go to win them all, but you're thinking, all right, let's get 2 out of 3, and we only got 1 out of 3, but winning on the road's tough. So, but now we're at home, and we got 3 in a row, so now we're looking to protect home court. I feel very good about our team and the way we've been practicing with what guys we've had available, and we're looking forward to Thursday and Saturday.
Talked to Ginger Colvin about the change in the times and moving it up. Obviously, she had some reservations on Thursday. It does make it a little difficult for her, but I got to imagine from the guys' standpoint, going to 7:30 and then 3 o'clock on Saturdays, that's pretty good for you all.
Yeah, we enjoy it, and again, we do hate it for the women because you know, they have so many close by, and as she stated earlier, you know, Central Time Zone, it makes it tough to get there. For us, you know, we do have people that travel and get to the games, but you're playing a little bit earlier is always good on the Thursday. And then Saturday, you know, it gives you a little more time. But I always think it's one of the earlier you can go, the better. But again, it's really difficult for our women, and we need to, you know, I think they got to look to make sure that all the fans have the same priorities where they can come and support. So it's a good change for us, not as good for them, but we'll take that as time goes and see what happens year to year.
The Tigers get Freed-Hardeman here on Thursday night as we take a look at some of the numbers from that matchup with the Lions. Again, that's a 7:30 tip-off on the men's side. It'll come up after the conclusion of the women's game, but a 7:30 tip-off there. And, both of these teams, 6 wins. Coach Freed Hardeman's been able to get up and down and score the basketball at a better clip on the season. They've, their non-conference schedule, they lost to Faulkner early in the year, a really good Faulkner team and different things. So this team that has lost some pieces over the years. One of them is one that you've been very high on, in Cortland Martin. But they've got the reigning conference freshman of the year in Geraldo Lane. So Coach Stutt still has some really nice pieces there for the Lions.
He does, and it's going to be nice to finally play them without Cortland, just because of how good he was. And they lost a good player in Jeremiah Alexander and Wanye King. But again, they have really good pieces back, as you talked about, with Geraldo Lane, Riley McLaren, the returner's been there for a while. Spurlock is in there. They bring in a guy from the Appalachian and Brandon Thomas, who's very good. So he's done a really good job recruiting and filling some void. It's a little bit of a different team. They're going to run the same stuff and do the same things, but you have a guy like Cortland who can dominate the game. Definitely changes a little bit. Now I think it's a little more spread out, a little more scoring. I think they have 6 guys all averaging right around 10 points a game, which is very impressive. They brought in a freshman point guard who's done a very good job early on in his career. So it's going to be a good game. I mean, Coach Stutz does a great job, and they're 3-0 in the league right now, so they've started out well, and it's a great opportunity for us whenever you see a team above you and you get a play that try to knock them off and try to gain a game on them.
Yeah, and this is their first conference road game, so they're 3. It's a nice schedule to get 3 out of the gate all at home. That is a chance to really kind of put yourself ahead, and they did that. Give them credit. They took care of advantage, wins over Pikeville, wins over Shawnee State, and a win over Bethel as well. So that's a really nice start for them. Now they have to finally get on the road, and you've experienced that already.
Yeah, I'm saying hopefully we can make it tough on them, like it was made tough on us, and that's going to be something that we're going to definitely try to do. We're unfortunately don't have many Thursday night games in the PAL this year, because I think the PAL is one of the best, if not the best, in the Mid-South during the week, the crowds that we get. So we're hoping with one of the few games. I know it's the last week of classes before finals, but I'm hoping we can have a really good crowd for Thursday night to make it really difficult. We played Freed last year on a Thursday night and had a great crowd in an overtime win. So hoping we have a good crowd Thursday night and can make it a very difficult place for them to come play.
Yeah, and I've not looked far ahead at Bethel in my preparation. Coach Britt has some new pieces as well. They lost some stuff, and they've had a Player of the Week already. I seen Zalitny, I think, was Player of the Week already this year. So that's a Bethel club. They'll also be looking for a win as well. Yeah,
and they've started off at 1-2. They beat Shawnee State. Had a couple of tough games against Freed and Pikeville. Normally I don't know much about the Saturday opponent, but Bethel and Freed's already played, so I was watching Freed. I got to watch a little bit of Bethel. Bethel lost all 5 starters from last year, so I'm not saying rebuild, but he had to bring in a lot of new pieces. I know one of their guys returning, who was a partial starter, has been in and out of the lineup with some injuries. But again, Coach Britt does a great job. If you go back the last 10 years, they've made some national tournament appearances. They run really good stuff on the offensive end. They guard hard. They understand what their assignments are. So again, both games Thursday and Saturday, we're going to have to be at our best to be able to come away with wins.
And as we wrap up, one kind of unique question that really you don't get often. Do you ask Chandler Clements any insight onto Bethel and schemes and what they might be trying to do, as he spent 2 years there?
Yeah, I think we'll talk a little bit about it on Friday, just to, maybe more or less in case there's some calls we don't have, because, very rarely in our league do coaches change up. We believe in what we do. We may throw 1 or 2 new wrinkles in here and there, but you go back and look at Campbellsville. I mean, we're running the same stuff. You look at Lindsey Wilson, Georgetown, everybody's sort of running the same stuff that they ran for years because it's worked for them. And but no, we'll definitely talk to them a little bit and maybe have an idea of maybe a little bit of the, not personnel, but just team-wise, what Coach Britt's philosophy is a little better, and see what they have to say.
Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, Matt.
The Tigers in action in the PAL. You've got a couple of Mid-South Conference doubleheaders. The Lady Tigers start things 5:30 Thursday against Freed Hardeman. The Tigers will follow at 7:30. And then on Saturday, Bethel, 1 p.m. Eastern time start, as Bethel's out of the Central Time Zone. Almost messed that up. So make sure you join us in the PAL. It's an earlier start, so you'll have to get out a bit earlier, 1 o'clock, the start time for that. The Tigers then follow at 3 Eastern in the Powell Center. Special thanks to Coach Brent Vernon for joining us, as well as head coach of Lady Tiger basketball, Ginger High Colvin, Matt Payton. We'll see you next time here on Tiger Timeout.